Gotta get that
It's
other posted
funny.
first, get to you second.
Yes, good.
All right.
That's hilarious.
I would like to start the Public Safety, Health, and Welfare meeting at 7 o'clock. Those in attendance are committee members Shemsky, Heeman, and Madden, council members Gilchrist, Limpert, Mari, and Scarl. Also present are Mayor Jones, the Director of Law, Director of Finance, Public Safety, Service, and guests. There's one item on the agenda, Resolution 2025-102, a resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase and finance through the Hotel Malto Fund 1 2025 Polaris Ranger XP 1000 utility vehicle, and further authorizing the mayor to execute all documents necessary to effectuate such purchases and declaring an emergency. Mayor Jones, would you like to speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly before the director goes in depth with your committee this evening, but this utility vehicle was discussed in the budget. It is to be funded out of the Hotel Motel Fund for this year for a little bit over $30,000. Director.
Thank you, Mayor, to the chair and members of the committee. I want to provide just a very quick overview on this piece of equipment, this vehicle, and then I want to turn it over to Chief Wagner, and for those of you who don't know, Sergeant Mark Petro, who is our training officer and the Assistant SWAT Commander for the West Shore Enforcement Bureau, as kind of our subject matter experts on this. But just very, very quickly, this is a side-by-side utility vehicle that is equipped with the rescue litter, which can dramatically expand a police department's ability to operate in challenging environments. As you know, law enforcement are generally first on scene no matter what the call, and can be quicker and more nimble than the larger fire and EMS apparatus. It can assist with tactical operations. Primarily we're looking at search and rescue. I can speak to this as a couple weeks ago I was on a ride along, and we spent, I don't know, Sergeant, 2 hours looking.
Just about 3 hours.
Just about 3 hours on foot, crawling through the underbrush and wooded areas looking for a missing individual from North Ridgeville, where a vehicle like this would have been much more efficient and much safer for us. It can aid in surveillance operations. It can provide access to normally inaccessible areas, locations where normal patrol vehicles can't go, in our woods, narrow trails, culverts, and ditches. It can enhance rapid patient extraction and off-road medical readiness. It can assist with crowd and event management. It has the capacity to store medical and tactical equipment and supplies. This is something that we can use jointly with EMS when we need to, and overall it enhances our entire fleet, our first response fleet. So with that said, I'll turn it over to Chief Wagner for a few words, and then to Sergeant Petro for some examples as to how this vehicle can be used and things that happen in our community where it could be very beneficial.
Thank you, Director, and good evening, council members and Mr. Chair. I wanted to come here with more data when we could be very specific about we could have used it 15 times in the last year or twice a month or whatever that may be. We don't currently have it. I'll have Sergeant Petro, who is the Assistant SWAT Commander for our web SWAT team, speak as to some more recent times where we could have used it. So what I did is I reached out to the Westlake Police Chief. They have one, and I said, how many times was your UTV deployed in the last 12 months? We have actually borrowed their UTV to use on multiple occasions here in our city. They've had it. We have a great working relationship with Westlake, so they've allowed us to use it on a few occasions. So his estimate to me was for planned security events approximately 10 times in the last year, and for community policing events 20 times or more in the last year that they're currently using their UTV for. And that's not including any tactical deployments where the planned security events would be planned, but for situations where there's missing persons and so on and so forth. I can speak from historically. I know on at least 2 occasions in my tenure here at the department for the last 28 years where we have actually had our employees bring in their ATVs from home to use on missing persons cases. That's happened at least twice. So it's a great tool to have if and when you need it. But I will let Sergeant Petro speak because he has a lot more institutional knowledge as far as recent times when that could have been used, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. Sergeant Mark Petro. If at any time, please stop, and if you have any questions, let me know. There is also, not only does Westlake have a UTV, but also Bay Village does as well, and they have that for plant security events. And also keep in mind, in Bay Village, there's a plethora of parks and rec areas that they utilize. They've got the beachfront property as well that they mutual aid quite frequently with the Met Parks Police as well. That's important to us because we have Frostville, and within Frostville, we still operate in there, take calls for service, as well as assist with any missing individuals there. Approximately 3 years ago, our fire department conducted some mutual aid down there where there was a hiker with a broken foot that they ended up having to air medevac, and they had to land a helicopter in there as well. Again, these are just some options of recent times with medical. Safety Director Schofield had mentioned the lost individual from North Ridgeville. Just 2 weeks ago, myself and Officer Wolcott assisted in a call for service for a elderly female in a culvert at the intersection of Barton and Bradley. If you're familiar with that, there's that drainage ditch that runs off. Okay, that runs all the way northbound, and once it hits northbound, it tees off east and west again. So we got multiple calls from the elderly female. She didn't know where she was at, and we traversed northbound and southbound until we eventually found her and helped her get out. But again, having that litter, if she was injured, that's easy for us to pack her, load her in, and take her to medical, as well as traverse the terrain. 2 topics that I want to talk about too. So again, these are immediate deployments. We've had 2 critical events at Giant Eagle. Okay, within those 2 critical events, the use of a side-by-side and mobility to get support personnel, equipment, and look at the scene. Because of how large that scene was. We could talk about the first one that had happened that was down there. Our scene spanned from Giant Eagle, the front door, all the way through until Dover Center. We had to collect evidence, rope it off, and ensure personnel had the equipment that was there. There's one that scene is rather large. Our second one, when that was down there, we had individuals, and we were trying to corral them across Lorraine Road, right? Those that were civilians. That may have seen what had transpired there so that we can get witness statements from them. We brought them here. Again, that could be helpful for crowd control because of the span of where we are at. We'll highlight, and Chief Wagner talked about this, another specific example in use. We had an officer-involved shooting. We had an armed robbery at Starbucks at Dover and Lorraine Road. Okay, we had a pursuit. That pursuit ended in a residential neighborhood back behind houses. Okay, so within that, the subject barricaded himself. He's an armed criminal suspect, barricaded in a vehicle. Westlake eventually came down with their side-by-side, was able to traverse all around the scene, and we were able to get shields, lethal devices, and any other equipment around to those people that were holding the perimeter and securing the scenes all around those backyards, right? So there's another option for us to be able to utilize. So again, another critical event, October 20th, 24. Westlake has a call for service for a breaking and entering. Individual broke into a residence, stole firearms, fled, pursuit happened. They came southbound into our city. We joined the pursuit. We were able to stop stick them. We were called off as they went into Cleveland. Eventually, that individual came back out to Westlake, then southbound down Crocker. Ended up back in our city. The vehicle ended up stopping in residential area. Ran foot pursuit now, so we are now traversing with an armed criminal suspect who has firearms running around the neighborhoods and residential areas within our city, and he was laying in wait. If we have a side-by-side, we can traverse through backyards, through front yards, again, being able to take our crisis scene and saying, yep, quickly deducing where we think he is, and shrinking it very quickly. Instead of just putting officers on foot, we now have a small, nimble vehicle with white light that we can see and clear areas quickly and take that scene and shrink it down for our public safety. In that same line, earlier this year, we had a shots fired call at our high school. An individual went over to the backfield area, took his firearm, and shot it into the ground. All right, we had to request mutual aid and canines, eventually tracking that individual and pushing all the way down through Southern, where we ended up finding the individual and apprehending him. Again, if we can increase the mobility and speed of which we can take officers from a critical event scene to where that suspect, that armed criminal suspect is, that creates a safer environment for our community as well by able to getting that quick deployment of officers to that critical event. We talked about the search and rescue with Frostville, and then Safety Director Schofield talked about our use of that for our fireworks and things of that event. What that does for us, right, as a community and force protection is that allows us to put SWAT operators or astute patrolmen into a vehicle where we don't have to stay on the road. We can go in unimproved roads, we can go in areas where there are no roads, no walkways, for us to be able to not only get to a civilian officer or somebody injured, right, but also to somebody trying to conduct harm within the community very, very, very quickly. We don't have to take the roads, we can go over hills, through unimproved areas as well to make sure we take that large crisis site and immediately be able to shrink it and deploy operators. Do I have any questions on some of the necessities or kind of how we would tactically employ it or operationally employ it within our department?
Just a couple questions. One,
Sure.
How do you get it to the site? Like, are there any traffic considerations of, like, how do you get it from here to wherever you need to do it? Is it transported?
Nope, we can transport it. Great question. It is a police vehicle. We have, and it will be fully marked. It says police, it'll say North Olmsted Police, and it'll also have red and blues and a siren package as well with it that we'll be getting and putting it on there. So we can, for the examples, we just drive it down Dover Center Road. We drive it from here to the fireworks. We can take that, obeying our traffic laws, and drive that on road.
And then, obviously some certain cases, you have to do kind of a threat assessment versus damage assessments, they could say. But Chief, are you guys going to set up some guidelines as far as when they can go take that thing through somebody's backyard in say October, November to like turf up the yard chasing the suspect? Or
So we, it's a tough question. So we have driven patrol cars probably in pursuit of a suspect. So I'll use the instance that Sergeant Petro brought up, the Starbucks robbery. We ended up in the backyards of a cul-de-sac street, in the backyards of a bunch of vehicles. We had the suspect's vehicle back there. We had 3 patrol cars back there where they were exchanging gunfire. That UTV would traverse way better than those cars did. But they were back there because they were in hot pursuit of the robbery suspect where he had shot at our officers right here across the street. But yeah, that UTV will do a lot less damage than you would think. It's almost like a golf cart type.
Correct.
As long as they're not, out doing.
Agreed. And the specific examples that we brought up, I mean, these are armed criminal suspects that are on the loose within our community. So I think you're having some good trust, faith, and confidence in our supervisors, first line supervisors, deciding, hey, yeah, we're going to bring this in. We'll have some specific operators that'll be, hey, we need to bring in that UTV. We have a pre-planned operation. It'll be a select few officers. And then those maybe on those shift levels, we'll spin them up on some recovery operations. So we're not turfing, right? As we kind of work through that, there's some courses Polaris offers some. I've been kind of taking a look at some other really nice search and rescue UTV operations that we can get some officers to and spun up on.
Great, thank you.
And
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I had an opportunity to to be on the Westlake utility vehicle to see its capabilities. And to the councilman's question about how do you transport this thing, it's in your mind, you're thinking it's a golf cart, but it goes 60, 70 miles an hour. So like, if need be, if they need to be on 480 and then climb up one of the hills off of 480, like that is all part of this package. It's not a golf cart, it's.
Yeah, there's no
way
traffic
more.
rules that we
Yeah.
have to be concerned
Not
about.
for us.
Not
Yeah,
for
yeah.
us.
The law enforcement exemption helps us out there.
Correct. And the one that we're looking at is top speeds at approximately 62 miles an hour, constant. So, I mean, it'll fluctuate. We can go above that, but the constant speed for that Polaris one, it's one of the government ones, it's at 62 miles an hour.
Does, this would be to the public safety director. Does that cost of the $30,000 include the outfitting for all the stuff, or do we still have to buy apparatuses and stuff?
So what we would have to do, that's going to be the vehicle. When we originally kind of said, hey, this is a piece of equipment we should really take a look at. By that time, and by the time we got serious about it, bringing it in front of council and trying to appropriate it, the price increases went up. Originally, within that, it was supposed to be the med light, which is the trunk part where we can have passengers, the lighting package, and the vehicle. For this year now, that will get us the vehicle and the lighting package, and then in 26 we will get, it's called the med light, is the company that makes that. We would have to get that med light package and then install that.
Councilwoman?
Yeah, how many people does it hold? Like, what's the, dimensions? And do you have pictures or anything to see? All we have is this quote.
I apologize, I didn't bring pictures. Now, what it has on there is it can seat 5, 2 in the front, 3 across the back, uncomfortably. Realistically, 4 inside. It's a cabin. The cabin's fully enclosed, heating and air conditioning, so it can be operated all year round. And then in the back, it's got a jump seat for a medic, right? And then on the top, adjacent to it, passenger side, is where you have a litter slide. So we've got the quick litters, and then what you do is you put that individual in the quick litter. You can have a operator or a TAC medic or EMS operator sit down and work on the casualty while en route, or the individual can sit strapped in on the jump seat as well. So it's kind of like we can litter if necessary, or put the individual in the jump seat, and the jump seat's got a seat belt on there. If they've got just a broken extremity, they can sit down, be seated instead of strapped in on a gurney, looking up during transport.
Questions?
Do the police officers need to wear helmets while they are in this? No.
You do not.
It's covered?
It's the one, yes. So the ones that we got, we did some having conversations with, especially with Westlake. They got one with outdoors and a removable light windshield. It is very detrimental during wintertime conversations you can't hear. So what we opted for is a fully enclosed completely, and it has heating and air conditioning so that we can utilize it in the winter as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Question for the finance chair. So this comes out of the Hotel Melto Fund?
Yes, it
So
does.
that's for only equipment for police, fire, and EMS?
Yes.
That's fine. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to recommend 2025 to the rest of 2025-102 to the rest of council and ask for a second. Something you want to see? Withdraw my motion to recommend to the rest of the council and move to hold 2025-102 in committee and ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 0. It's held. And the committee ends at 7:21.
Thank you.